Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a part of the series Service-Oriented Programming. In the last video of this series, we have seen what are Java servlets, how to use them, and we also executed a basic hello world program using Java servlets. In today's video, we are going to see how you can pass and retrieve parameters using Java servlets. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. The first step is to pass the parameter. Now this can be done by two different methods. The first one is to pass the parameters directly in the URL. Now this method is not very useful because the users can actually see your credential directly in the URL. The next method is to pass the parameters using an HTML form. What you have to do is to just create an HTML form and pass the parameters using the input fields. So once you have created an HTML form, you will see that the input fields are requiring for your credentials. And once you click on submit, these parameters will then be passed to the HTTP request and get embedded in the HTTP request body message. Once these parameters are stored in the HTTP request, they can be retrieved later using a method from the server. Now the parameters are passed. The next step is to invoke the servlet. Now, why we need to invoke the servlet is because servlet doesn't know that you have passed the parameters and then it needs to retrieve them. So it is done by using actual and absolute URL. Now, what are they? What is actual and absolute URL? Actual URL is the URL of the login HTML page. So once you enter your credentials on the login HTML page, the login HTML page will be redirected to an absolute URL. That URL will invoke the servlet. And once your servlet is invoked, you are all ready to retrieve your parameters. So now the servlet is invoked and we will see how we can retrieve the parameters. So to retrieve the parameters, what we have to do is to just get the parameters from the embedded body and show them onto your web page. For that, what you use is a getParameter method in the servlet. So once the getParameter method is used, the servlet will retrieve these parameters and show it on your web page, and hence the parameters are retrieved. And this is how you pass and retrieve the parameters in servlets. So in this video, we are going to execute a simple Java servlet program to pass and retrieve the parameters. In this half of the video, we are going to write the program and execute it manually. If you want to see how you can execute the same program using Eclipse IDE, you can skip this part of the video and go to the next half and I'll show you how to do that. So let's start with this part of the video. So first we have to write a Java servlet program to retrieve the parameters, and I'll write it, I'll pause the video and I'll continue it. So guys, I have written the Java servlet program. Basically in this program what we are doing is we are retrieving the two parameters, that is the login and password values, using the getParameter method. So as here you can see I've created two strings, login and password, and I'm requesting using the getParameter method to fetch the values of login and password. So after doing this, I'm actually printing out the value of login and the password values which we have retrieved. And this is what we are doing in the Java servlet program. Now we can go forward and save this program. Just for the ease of use, I'm going to save it in the net folder itself. You can also save it anywhere you want. It will be easier if you save it here. So I'll save it. The next thing which you want to do is to create a login.html file to pass the parameters. So for that, let's just open a new file and start writing our HTML document. First declare HTML. After that, let's say head and title. Give it a title. Let parameter servlet. We'll close the title and close the head. After that, the body, and here. Now what we have to do is, inside of this body tag, we have to create a form. So to create a form, just type form, give the method as post. So we are using post method inside of it. And in the action, make sure you type http colon // localhost colon 8080 /net / and the URL you have given in the, you want to map the URL. Okay, now why I have given this http localhost 8080 /net servlet-check, it's because I want when the user clicks on the submit button or the login button from the HTML page, I want the HTML page to redirect it to this location. That means to this URL. So it will invoke the servlet, right? So after this, I'll create login fields that will be login ID first, and the input type will be text, and the name will be login. Now make sure this login name and the name you have given in the servlet program matches, because that's how it's going to retrieve the value. If they are not same, then it will be an error. So the next will be password. This time in the input type, I'm going to give password because I don't want to show what I'm typing, right? Name will be equal to password. Yeah, again a BR tag. And the last will be my submit button, the login. Input type will be submit, and name or value, I can say value will be equal to log. Right? So I'm done with the form. So I can close the form tab. This is getting shared. So I can save this HTML file as login.html. Save it in the net folder as it, that's our root directory. Okay. So click on save. Now I have created servlet file and the HTML file. The third thing I need to do is to map the URL, and for that we use this web.xml. So let's make that web.xml. So here I have web app tag and the display name tag already. But the main part is we have to create two tags, that is servlet, and the next one is servlet mapping. Right? Inside of these tags, again, I want to give two more tags, that is servlet name and servlet class. Now in the servlet name, I can give anything, whatever. So I'm just going to name it get parameter. In the class, make sure to give the same what your servlet class name is. So my servlet class name was get parameter servlet. That's what I'm going to give it in. So this part is done. Now for the servlet mapping, inside of it, I'm going to give two more values, and that is first will be servlet name, and then the second one will be the URL pattern I want. So URL pattern, right? I close it. Yeah. So in the servlet name, make sure to give the same name what you have given in the servlet tag. I have given get parameter. And in the URL pattern, make sure to match the URL pattern which you have mentioned in the login HTML file. So I have given /servlet /check. So this will be my URL pattern. Now you can go ahead and save this file. And we know that we save this file in the webin folder. and then select all files, then web.xml. So I'll go ahead and save it. Now we are ready with the servlet file, HTML file, and the web.xml file. So now we can invoke the server, start the server, and run our files. Tomcat directory. I'll go to the web apps folder and then the net folder. First of all, I have to compile this servlet file. For that, we'll type cmd and open the command prompt. Here I'll write javac -cp double quotes, and inside of the double quotes I have to give servlet API path. For that I'll go to Apache Tomcat root directory, lib folder, and I'll find the servlet API. I'll copy this full path and I'll paste it. Now I'll give space and type my servlet file. Let's get parameter servlet.java. I'll hit enter and my file is compiled. So I can go back in the web app folder net. Here you can see my class file is there. So I can copy it and paste it in the classes folder right here. So I'm done with this stuff now. Now I can start the Apache Tomcat server and run my application. So I'll go to the bin folder, type cmd. Once the command prompt is open, I'll type startup and I'll start the server. So the server is starting up. Once the server is started, go back to the web apps folder, and inside of the net folder we have created a login HTML file. So you can either go to the browser and type in the whole URL, or you can just open it from here. So I'll just type any value inside of these text fields, and if I click on the login, here you can see that I'm getting the output as login and login. That means the servlet is invoked and it has retrieved the parameter which I have given in the HTML form. And this is how you can execute a simple Java servlet program to pass and retrieve the parameters. In this half of the video, we are going to see how you can execute a Java servlet program to pass and retrieve parameters using Eclipse IDE. So for that, let's just open our Eclipse IDE. Once you are in the workspace, navigate to the File section and create a new dynamic web project. Give it a name. I'm going to name it getParameter and click on Next. And again click on Next. Make sure to generate the web.xml file and click on Finish. So once it's finished, you will see the project on your Project Explorer pane. Then click on the source and create a new servlet file. Okay. So once you're in the servlet file, name the class and click on Next. And then for the URL mapping, give any URL map according to yourself. I'm going to name it servlet check. Okay. And click on Next. You don't have to worry about all this. Just leave it like this and click Finish. Once this file is generated, what we are going to do is, this is our servlet file. So don't worry about all this. Actually, you can delete it also. You actually don't need it. So I've already written the servlet program. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here. So here is my servlet program which I have written. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it here. And I'll save it. The next thing I want to do is create an login HTML file. So I'll go to the source, then main, and inside of this web app, I'll create my HTML file. So click on HTML file and we'll name it login.html. Then click on next and finish. Now I've created the login file too. So I'll just copy paste this again. And yeah, right here. And I'll click on save. So my servlet file and login file are ready. Now I need to set up the web.xml file. So double click on it. Once it's open, you have to make sure that servlet tag and servlet mapping tag are there. So if not, we'll create them. First is servlet, and inside of the servlet tag, I have to create two more tags, that is servlet name, and in the servlet name I'm going to name it get parameter, and the next one is servlet class, and make sure the servlet class is same as your servlet class file name. So this is for the servlet tag. The next tag you want to create is servlet mapping, and inside of the servlet mapping, again you need to mention the servlet name. Make sure it's the same as you gave in the servlet tag. And the next thing you want to mention is the URL pattern. So for the URL pattern, make sure it's the same as you have mentioned in the servlet file. So I've given servlet check there, and that's what I'm going to give it here. And once it's done, click on save. And now you're ready with the web.xml file, HTML file, and the get parameter servlet file. So once it's done, you are ready to run the file. So to run the file, you have to right click on your project, go to run as, and run on server. Just select your server, click on next. Once it's configured, click on finish. So once it's started, you will see that it's showing it's not found, but it's not mapped the place or URL which we want it to. So you'll type login.html here, and now it's showing the HTML file. So I'll type in any value to see whether it's working or not. Login, and when I click on login, here you go. It's showing login ID as login and password as login. So it means it has retrieved the values. And this is how you execute a Java servlet program to pass and retrieve the parameters using Eclipse IDE. Thank you for watching. I'm sure you have learned something. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe the channel. And in the comment box, let me know on what topics you need the video on. Till then, take care guys. See you in the next video. Bye bye.